If you saw this outside an apartment window today, you wouldn't hesitate. You would grab your phone, call the police, maybe even scream. A baby, suspended in mid-air, dozens of feet above a crowded city street. Nothing but wire mesh between them, and gravity. But nearly a century ago, this wasn't abuse. It wasn't neglect. It wasn't even controversial. It was considered good parenting. This is the story of the baby cage, an invention praised by doctors, used by wealthy families, and trusted by parents who believed they were giving their children the best possible start in life. Today, it looks like madness, but at the time, it looked like science. And to understand why parents hung their babies outside windows, you have to understand the fear that ruled cities in the early 1900s. New York, London, early 20th century. Cities were growing fast. Apartments were crowded. Air inside homes felt heavy and suffocating. And children were dying. Tuberculosis, influenza, respiratory infections. Parents watched illness move through neighborhoods like a silent storm. Doctors began searching for a cause, and many landed on a simple explanation. Indoor air was dangerous, stale, poisonous. Fresh air, they believed, could save children's lives. One of the most influential voices was Dr. Luther Ahmed Holt. His books guided millions of parents, and his advice was direct. Babies needed hours of outdoor every single day, even in cold weather, even in winter. Fresh air, he wrote, would strengthen the blood, build resistance, prevent disease. Parents listened. There was just one problem. Cities were rising vertically. Families lived on the 5th floor, the 10th floor, sometimes higher. There were no gardens, no yards, no safe outdoor spaces. Mothers were managing households alone, cooking, cleaning, caring for multiple children. How do you give a baby fresh air when outside is 10 stories below you? In 1922, a solution appeared. Emma Reed patented something called a portable baby cage. It was simple, a wire box attached to the outside of a window. The baby could lie inside, sleep, play, breathe fresh air while the parents stayed inside. And almost overnight, an unsettling idea became normal. By the 1930s, baby cages were everywhere, especially in London. Clubs distributed them to families without gardens. Apartment buildings installed them in rows. Entire city blocks had babies hanging outside windows like tiny balconies. Parents called them porches for the poor. Inside the cages were blankets, oilcloth padding, toys. To parents, it looked peaceful. A baby breathing fresh air, growing stronger, protected by modern science. Even prominent families embraced the trend. Eleanor Roosevelt once purchased a wire cage to hang her daughter outside their New York apartment. What looks shocking today looked progressive back then. And here's the part that made parents trust them even more. There were almost no major reports of babies falling, no widespread tragedies, no headlines warning people to stop. So parents assumed the cages were safe. Healthy babies with rosy cheeks became living advertisements. Neighbors saw them, asked about them, bought their own. It spread through something powerful, survivorship bias. If nothing went wrong, people believed everything was right. But there was something no one fully understood. The fresh air of the 1930s wasn't fresh at all. Cities were filled with coal smoke, industrial pollution, leaded gasoline exhaust. Parents thought they were purifying their child's lungs, while unknowingly exposing them to toxic clouds. Babies hung directly into polluted city air. The very solution meant to protect them may have been quietly harming them. And yet, the cages remained popular until the world changed. World War II transformed daily life. Bombs fell on cities like London. Suddenly, the idea of placing your baby outside a building, unprotected, felt unthinkable. At the same time, new research began to challenge old assumptions. Air pollution was no longer seen as harmless. Then came the Great Smog of London in the 1950s. Thousands died from toxic air. The belief that city air was healthy collapsed overnight. Safety regulations tightened, medical thinking evolved, and slowly, the cages disappeared. By the late 1950s, they were gone, replaced by indoor playpens, modern childcare practices, and a collective sense of disbelief. Today, the baby cage feels shocking, dangerous, unthinkable. But the parents who used them weren't careless. They were listening to experts, following medical advice, trying to keep their children safe. Which raises a quiet question. What parenting practices today feel completely normal, but might look like a wire cage to future generations? Because history has a strange habit of turning yesterday's science into tomorrow's cautionary tale. And sometimes, the things we trust the most become the stories people can't believe ever happened.